What secret did you once know that has since become public knowledge? I do consulting work for a major automaker. I've known about new cars and seen pictures weeks before details were revealed. People are looking at bad quality pictures taken from hidden cameras and speculating about specs while I have high residential images and full specs. As a car guy, it's kind of cool knowing before everyone else. I read Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows 3 weeks before it was available everywhere. No connections. A small bookstore in suburban South Korea either didn't get the memo they weren't supposed to put it on shelves until July 21st or didn't care. I was the same, in Canada though, and I only got it a bit over a week early from a bookstore that had put it out on the shelf. The irony is that I wasn't even that into the series. The only other book I own is the first. I only bought it because the hype was so huge and I was curious. I was reading it the next day on the bus and almost got attacked by some nutjob woman over it. I knew my best friend was sleeping with our middle school gym teacher from the time he was 15 years old. The rumors spread the rest of my school time, all the way through high school. When he was 20, they moved in together for almost a year, then everybody knew it was true. Did she get fired? Or have a police investigation? She quit by the time we were juniors in high school. And absolutely nothing ever went to the police, and no one got in trouble. He didn't stay with her though. She was nearly 20 years older than him. He has been married for years now, and is now the same middle school's basketball coach. This isn't super cool, but back in middle school, my best friend's mom worked for some sort of vending machine company and got to try Snickers peanut butter before it came out to the public. So I just got to try a pretty good candy bar a few weeks before it was released to everyone else. I once read a murder mystery where this guy kills his annoying stepdaughter and leaves her in a remote location with a candy bar wrapper from a candy bar that another company is putting out in a few weeks. The murderer works for the advertising agency of the candy company. The plan is that, since the candy bar is only coming out in a few weeks, when the body gets found, he'll have an alibi because there's no way the body could have ended up there before the candy bar was released to the general public. However, the candy bar company is having second thoughts about putting out their candy bar, because the test group says the candy bar is pretty revolting, so a murderer goes back to the remote location to remove the candy bar wrapper. While there, a rock falls on his head and he dies too. Ironic twist in the end, the candy bar company puts out the candy bar anyway, but it's a huge failure because it's pretty revolting. I don't know if this counts, but my father worked for Hasbro and I got to test a lot of the toys before they came out. This was a long time ago, so it was mostly My Little Pony stuff, but it was pretty cool. I knew the new hot girl in school everyone was talking about was transgender. She was tall and thin and was very cool. She told everyone she had moved there from Europe. She wore very expensive stylish dresses. Everyone was talking about her. And to be honest, she was very pretty. If I hadn't known prior, I might have gotten caught up in the hype. The summer before that school year, I worked at a fast food restaurant at a theme park. Back then there wasn't social media, so you rarely interacted with kids outside of your high school unless you were in sports or something like that. This job brought kids from all over town to work in the same place. I dated a girl from a school that was about 20 miles away, and she told me about this really good-looking gay kid from her school who she had a crush on a few years before. He came back to school after summer break and started dressing as a girl. He was mocked relentlessly. The story she told me was he was born with both sex organs and had surgery as a baby to make him a boy, and he was raised a boy but always felt like a girl, so when he got old enough he decided to live his life as a girl. He was bullied terribly and eventually left school. She showed me his picture, so I remembered what he looked like. When the new girl showed up, I recognized her immediately. I felt terribly for her. No way in the world I was going to let that secret out of the bag and ruin her life. The thing that made that so hard is she was such an a-hole. She was arrogant, and would make fun of other girls and laugh at boys that were too nerdy, and she herself was a bully to an extent. It eventually did come out when a guy transferred to our school and had played soccer with him at the previous school. All fucking hell broke loose. She tried to deny it, but he brought in a yearbook, and it was clearly her. She left our school about a week later, and I heard she transferred to another local high school. Never heard how it went though. Hope it worked out. Good on you for not outing her. I think one of the hardest things is not letting an a-hole turn you into an a-hole too. I always chalked it up to a defense mechanism. Maybe she thought if she got out ahead of the bullying, she wouldn't be the target. Kinda like they say when you go to prison, target the biggest guy in there for respect. It's like she showed up and decided to be the biggest bitch so that no one would mess with her. I was never the target of her insults, so it didn't affect me personally. I was just the recipient of her shitty attitude. But if I was forced out of my high school like she was, I would probably have a shitty attitude toward people too. Did a full series of artwork for a popular toy line, all the heroes in all their new outfits. I think most have been revealed by now though, this was over a year ago. Was cool to work on. The split up of a very popular couple in Hollywood. My wife's sister was their nanny, and we found out a month before it came out and was sworn not to tell anyone. The best bit was, all the tabloid blamed the nanny. So my wife's sister called her former boss and asked her to set everyone straight, and her former boss said no, you can't do that, and to wait it out, and it will blow over. I currently work for a company that does prints of the movie posters and gaming companies for various productions and projects, including some very recognizable ones. So by this stretch, I get to see first runs of movie posters months before they roll out. Gaming company stuff too before any major thing like Electronic Entertainment Expo and the like. The funny thing is that it's the gaming companies that go nuts over our prints and secrecy to the point of roping off entire wings of a print floor and getting some big non-disclosure agreements rolled out for us to sign if we work on them. The movie guys are a lot cooler about it. It's fun knowing some of the big announcements that will be hitting thing like Electronic Entertainment Expo, or what the new blockbuster films have as far as advertising. I worked for Warner Brothers division back in 2008 or so. They sent out some company-wide email jerking off about whatever big meeting they had and bragging about all the games that would be coming down the pipeline. Not 2 minutes later there was a hastily written email explaining in very bold letters that internal communications are confidential and subject to non-disclosure agreement, etc., or else we'll fire you. The government killed almost all of the lobsters in the Long Island Sound when using a new pesticide to spray for mosquitoes and paid all of the lobster fishermen large sums of money with tax dollars to avoid owning up to it. Wait, that still may not be public info. North Korean ballistic missile development having missiles that were able to hit the continental United States. The media acts like it is some new thing, but they've had the technical capability since the mid-90s. Their missiles are just a bit more reliable now. I went to the Canadian premiere of The Last Jedi, so I knew all the spoilers 3 days before anyone else. It's actually really lonely because you can't talk about it with anyone. Those days were the height of my anxiety. I had to avoid the internet because people actually went out of their way to try and spoil it for me. Luckily, I went in surprised that there was going to be a spin-off show of The Big Bang Theory. My little brother auditioned for young Sheldon about a year ago. Because of him, there are lots of TV shows and movies that I know about pretty early on that I can't tell anyone about. Do you have a similar story? Leave a comment and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one.